All right, good morning. It's a lovely Wednesday morning, the 12th of November, 2025. We continue the countdown to the end of the year, exactly 49 days. Nilikwambia now we are sub 50. Siku 49 peke yake zimekaribia. Karibu tufike siku 40 za mwezi. For those keeping count, in as far as Christmas is concerned, only 43 days to go. KCSE Leo Biology Paper 2, History Government Paper 2 as well in the afternoon. Karibu sana. This is the Morning Cafe. My name is Freddie Ndimuli.
My name is Anne Odida. It is World Pneumonia Day and there's so much to talk about this morning. Let's get started with the local dailies.
All right, and lots to talk about today, but yes, this one, Kenya yaangukia dhahabu. Did you ever imagine?
Same story in the Daily Nation. Kenya strikes 680 billion shillings gold.
Oh yes, something. At least I'm smiling because uko najua ni wapi. Ni karibu na uko home. On the Star, Museveni threatens war with Kenya over Indian Ocean. Sasa tutapigania Indian Ocean. Tumezungukana hapo sababu ya Lake Victoria, sasa Indian Ocean. Anyway, that's the Star.
All right, the People Daily, inside Kenya's growing crime networks.
On the Business Daily, Techie loses 1.1 billion shilling pay in M-Pesa app's ownership row.
And finally, the Standard, see, hear no evil.
Yes, you realize there's no politics on the front pages today. Hakuna siasa anywhere, but kule ndani, a lot of politics, and we'll be looking at that with my panelists later on this morning. John Njuguna Kawajiko, MP Kiamba, David Kiplagat, MP Soi, and Fanyamambo Kinothia, political commentator, will be in studio to take a look at the headlines today. So do stand by for that, coming your way at 6:30.
All right, being a Wednesday, we talk matters of the heart. Lakini today we're talking about loss and grief. How to deal with loss and grief with Richard Ziwe Zimbelis, our counselor, and Nasim Nkatha, a psychologist and the founder of Hugs organization.
All right, that will be coming your way at 8 a.m. So let's cross the border tuone kule Uganda wanazungumzia nini, na today we start with the new vision. So the government has decided to recruit more than 6,800 people next month, and this is set to cost the taxpayer in Uganda 124.8 billion shillings Ugandan money. And what they've done is that the full list of hiring entities are inside this paper, the new vision. This is huge. You can imagine at a time when everyone is complaining about growing youth unemployment. In Uganda, close to 7,000 youth are getting government jobs just like that. Ni campaign ama ni nini, lakini tuseme nini. Pale chini kama kawaida, a sea of yellow there. President Museveni continues with his campaigns, and here he's seen officially commissioning Cheptegei's hotel. Yani ana campaign mpaka anaenda kufungua hoteli ya rafiki yake. At least kule Uganda, they still give mention to the other candidates, what Muntu, Chagulani and Mafabi told voters, and they always have this on the front page of the new vision. That watazungumzia Museveni alafu waseme na hao wengine walisema hivi. Lakini ukitaka kujua kule ndani. The top 3 candidates after Museveni. Paula White to teach leadership at Kampala conference. That's a different story there. And pale juu, Uganda Cubs trounce France, matters World Cup. And the DPP in Uganda has withdrawn a Babati case against Lugolobi. So that's a new vision.
Still in Uganda, the new monitor, the Daily Monitor to new monitor. Daily Monitor, 6,800 government jobs up for grabs. That's the same story in the new vision. Employment opportunity, and they say the job opportunities are scattered across 130 government ministries, departments and agencies, including in local governments. The allocation for the new jobs will cost the taxpayers a substantial 124.8 billion shillings. And according to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, and ASEMA, the structure to be used in recruiting for the health centers or health sector and hospitals are the current ones. Failing those structures is being done in a phased manner because where there is super specialization, they do not have many such human resources in Uganda. That story is on page 4. Door-to-door campaigns dominate Kampala vote hunt, matters election. Museveni orders the resettlement of landslide survivors. There's another story there of NUP's Lutaya was being, that is Lutaya supporter, naitwa Olivia Lutaya. NUP supporter jailed again. And
I love that photo. Ile grill alafu amekaa ameweka mikono. And she's a member of the NUP party, ile Chagulani ya Bobi Wine. And amekuwa accused of, here she's seen in court in Kampala, she's charged with unlawful drills and has been remanded to Luzira prison until November 18th.
All right. How gray hair may be a sign of the body's cancer defenses. Let me read it again. How gray hair may be a sign of the body's cancer defenses. Okay.
So wewe unaweza kuwa hauna gray hair, kumbe inamaanisha hauna cancer defenses.
How DPP saved Lugo lobby from iron sheet scandal is another story on page 10. That's as far as Uganda is concerned.
So matters employment in government, big news in Uganda. Let's cross over to Tanzania, ndio tunaanza na gazeti la Mwananchi. Habari kuu pale, TLS kuwatetea watu 641 ni watuhumiwa wa kesi zilizofunguliwa mikoa mbalimbali nchini, yaeleza sababu kujitolea kuwatetea. TLS I think ni ile the equivalent of the Law Society kama ile LSK hapa ya Kenya, sasa hii ni ile Uganda. Kesi za uhaini zikirindima. Most of these people were arrested during the protests immediately after the elections of October 29th. So the Law Society in Tanzania says now they will go out and act as advocates for most of these people. Total of 641. Other stories here, Zungu kuanza na mambo matano. Huyu ni spika wa bunge, alichaguliwa jana, agusia yote anayokwenda kuyatekeleza katika uongozi wake. Wabunge wananchi waeleza matarajio yao katika bunge la 13. Ananukuliwa hapa kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Huyu ni spika wa bunge Musa Zungu, anasema nitaongoza kwa kufuata kanuni za bunge, haki kwa wabunge kutoka vyama vyote. Vyama vyote ni chama kimoja CCM, hao wengine ni wawili, hata watavurutwa tu waingie CCM. Hakuna ati vyama vyote. Nitakuwa muwazi na kufanya ofisi yangu iweze kufikiwa na kila mbunge atakaponihitaji. Ni kauli yake spika wa bunge la Tanzania Musa Zungu aliyeteuliwa hapo jana. Kwingineko, sababu bei ya tumbaku kupaa sokoni, na habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 3. Pale juu, Chadema kuja na msimamo yaliyotokea Oktoba 29. Hichi ni chama cha upinzani ambacho kilisusia uchaguzi wa Oktoba 29. Sasa wanasema watakuja kupeana msimamo wao, kauli yao, kuja waseme sasa hapa ndio msimamo wetu kuhusu uchaguzi huo uliopita. Gazeti la Mwananchi.
All right, still in Tanzania, The Citizen. First real test for Tanzania's push for unity, and Tanzania's political landscape has entered a new chapter of cautious optimism following the release of senior opposition figures detained after the October 29th general election. According to a political scientist hapa, anasema reconciliation is not just about repairing relationships between the government and the opposition, it's about restoring citizens' faith in the system. If the authorities follow this gesture with consistent actions, such as reviewing laws that restrict political space, it could usher in a new era of inclusivity. This story is on page 2, and on the front page there's Chadema officials. From left there's God Bless Lema, John Heche, Amani Golugu and Boniface Jacob, after reporting at Central Police Station in Dar es Salaam yesterday, following their release from custody on Monday.
Wamesema watapeana msimamo wao.
Other stories here, Samia has chosen continuity and unity with new nominees. Another story on page 3. Zungu outlines key priorities for 13th Parliament. Tanzania, Rwanda pilot East African Instant Payment Network. And on the top strip, cooking gas prices soar in parts of Dar es Salaam as dealers capitalize on unrest. Homegrown CEOs drive dividend boom in joint ventures. Huku gas imepanda juu kulikuwa na protest.
Yes, supply inakatika.
All right.
So these are the local and regional dailies. Of course, we'll be back to take a look at the local ones in a short while. For now, tuangazie hali ya anga hapa nchini, maeneo tofauti. Kutakuwaje leo? And we start off in the central part of Kenya. Today we start off in Nyahururu, which is quite chilly this morning, 11 degrees. They say it's a partly cloudy day, highs of 22 degrees, which is much cooler than any other part of the country that we'll see. And this could even drop for the next 2 days before the weekend. In as far as precipitation is concerned in Nyahururu, 0.9 millimeters. But it's a very cold day in Nyahururu. Up north in Turkana,
26 degrees as we speak. It feels like 27. It's a partly cloudy day in Turkana, highs of 37 degrees. Precipitation here, nothing.
You can see that those extremes from highs of 22 to highs of 37 in Turkana. So anyway, down south at the coast, Lamu, 27 degrees, feels like 30. So it's a very hot day there as well. They say it's a partly cloudy day, highs of 32 degrees in Lamu, which is quite warm, and this will continue throughout the week and into the weekend. A bit of precipitation there, 0.8 millimeters in Lamu. Tuende kule karibu Lake Victoria region, maeneo ya Kisii.
14 degrees this morning, clear skies with periodic clouds, highs of 26 degrees in Kisii, and precipitation 0.2 millimeters.
Kidogo. The northern part of the country in Garissa, it's also warm today. 25 degrees, feels like 27. It's a cloudy day, highs of 36, which is quite high, and this will continue into the weekend. 0.5 millimeters precipitation, kidogo sana pale.
Kisumu, 19 degrees this morning, feels like 24. It's a hot day in Kisumu. Partly cloudy day, highs of 29 degrees. Precipitation here, 0.1 millimeters.
So ni kama hakuna mvua maeneo mengi. Finally, Nairobi, it's a fairly warm day this morning, 17 degrees. Promises to be a cloudy day, highs of 25 degrees, a bit of precipitation expected, especially during the morning hours, 1.0 millimeters. Tumeona ni highs of 25, and this will continue into the weekend. So nothing much expected to change. Very little rainfall recorded across all these regions today. So hii ni ile siku tumeanza kuingia holiday weather. Right, that's a weather situation. And what time is it?
9 minutes past 6.
9 minutes past 6. Let's take a look at the traffic in the great city of Nairobi. Tuone ni kama, unajua mashule mengi yamefunga, watu wanafanya KCSE ni wachache. Some international schools are still open, but most of the schools are out already for the holiday season. But you can see Pale Pangani interchange, it's already getting very busy. If you go further up Thika Road, a bit of traffic pale Kawasukari, just after KU. Pale kuna stretch of yellow there and red, but after that it's green all the way mpaka Pangani interchange, ile bottleneck pale kama kawaida. Kiambu Road, it's only that area around Pangani that could be causing a problem. Jogoo Road getting busy, usual places pale Makadara. After that it's green, smooth all the way into town. At ile area pale Haile Selassie Avenue, slow this morning, nothing much like what we've seen. Areas around Machakos bus station not busy at all. Outer Ring Road also green on both sides of the road. Heading towards Donholm from further, it's green all the way. Mombasa Road looking good all the way into the CBD, and the other roads looking green all the way as well. So it's a fairly easy traffic morning
All right.
in Nairobi.
Let's have the quote of the day.
What you do today matters. Even the smallest actions have the power to shape your tomorrow. Stay consistent, stay focused, and let time amplify your efforts.
All right, let's come back and take a look at our local dailies now, and we start off with this one. Kenya strikes gold, 680 billion shilling worth, and they have the map of Ikolomani. You know Ikolomani comes from a gold mine. A gold mine, Ikolomani, yes. So yes, we've always known there's gold there, but now a British firm says there's a lot more. Yes, so the mining firm projects it will need to acquire over 300 acres of land in that area in a move that will affect about 800 households. But of course, they'll have to be paid. This whole area of Ikolomani, yes, if at all 800 households will be affected, 300 acres of land, I know most people there don't even own an acre. It's about half an acre or smaller. So yes, indeed, those people could be in for a windfall.
Na kama hakuna gold, ama it's guaranteed it's there?
No, you see, once you acquire this land, you have to pay them first. Hautasema ati unaenda uko chini kuprospect alafu ukipata ndo utakuja kuwalipa. No. If you're going to get this land, so you clear with everyone who's on top of it. Yeah. So, rich lord, residents of Isulu and Bushiangala in Ikolomani, Kakamega County are on the verge of a windfall. A British firm has revealed massive gold deposits in the area and is now seeking clearance to mine the precious metal in a venture that promises a fortune for the investor, country, county, and local communities. Nyiwa mnasema ati watu kutoka hiyo area wamekuja huko kufanya kazi hivi hivi. Sasa watu wanarudi huko, kuna Ikolomine huko. Ikolomine. Hata inaona sasa mtamuona akisema ati amewacha kazi. Anyway, so this is a British firm, Shanta Gold Kenya Limited. It's lining up about 26 billion shillings, close to 27 billion, for underground mining of gold in Kakamega. with the deposits of the precious metal currently valued at 683 billion. Yeah, ikipatikana, definitely this is a game changer. You know, we've been talking about how Kenya has been found to be engaging in as a transit point for gold that we do not know comes from where. DRC, Sudan, and other areas. Now we have our own gold. We'll be exporting gold all the way. Gold made in Kakamega, Ikolo mine. Yes, interesting there. And national and county governments as well as local residents to benefit in massive venture. But the problem is, and you've seen such mining ventures, maybe not for gold, but titanium and other things at the coast, and the kind of problems they bring. And residents rarely benefit directly. I hope this will be different for my people from Ikolo mine, so that we can have Inonda go back there, wachane na mambo ya Manu, aende atafute pesa ingine.
Viewer anashangaa Inonda. Inonda is the director.
Inonda is our director. Anapigaga kelele ya Manu sana kila sana. There's another very interesting story here. Court has awarded a teacher 5.1 million for negligence during surgery. Story on page 2 of the Daily Nation. Hapa watu wanapata tu pesa. Wengine wanapata gold huko Ikolo mine, wengine wanapata pesa huko.
Unaona venye hiyo makasi inakaa very big in the abdomen.
Iliwachwa ndani ya tumbo.
Imagine. The pain.
You can imagine once that, and you can't even move. You can imagine turning as you sleep, and then there's a piece of metal inside.
Yes. Because it's literally in the corner.
Yes. Well, anyway, at least he survived. Back to the front page, other quick stories here. Ghost learners, that's a question. Blame ministry, not us, says teachers. Public primary school heads have accused the Ministry of Education of inflating enrollment figures and creating ghost students and learning institutions, a situation that has led to the loss of 4 billion shillings in funding. And this could actually be a bigger story, that this is fraud planned from the highest levels within the education ministry. Because what they do is that they say, kuna shule mahali, na iko na students this number, kwa hivyo capitation has to go towards that school depending on the number of students. Kumbe they do not exist. Ama hata shule yenyewe does not exist. Hiyo pesa inaenda wapi? Kwa mifuko ya watu. Sasa walimu wanasema hapana, sio sisi. It is a ministry. Elsewhere, inside 558 million shilling SHA hospital payment fraud. Fraud kwingine. Fraud education, fraud health. Lakini at least we have gold in Ikolo mine. The quick highlights here. Yes, tumeongelelea ya mwalimu kupata shilingi milioni 5 sababu ya negligence during surgery. Watu wanaenda surgery wakitumia chat GTP. GPT ama GTP?
Is it GPT?
Chat GPT.
GPT. Chat GTP. GPT.
That's why. Alafu wanaacha makasi ndani ya mtu. Unfortunate sana. Police boss in Freshwa with commission of a retirement age. Watu wanasema IG akifika 60 ende nyumbani, asema wewe acha hii kazi inafaa wazee. Kule nyuma Obama carries Gabon playoffs hopes, na sasa watu wanafanya ni World Cup qualifiers inaendelea. So Super Eagles go into the game as better side as Cameroon face DRC in another clash in Rabat. So different countries trying to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. Sisi ni kama tulitolewa kitambo, si ndio? Sasa tuko na friendly na Senegal. Tuko hapo tu. Tuko tu. Anyway, that's the Daily Nation. And those are the main stories today.
All right. The Standard, see, hear no evil. Still matters education. TSC wrote, and Kenya's largest employer of educators, the Teacher Service Commission, stands accused of turning the country's classrooms into cash cows for corrupt officials. The collusion of field officers to those at the headquarters reeks from job bribes and politicized recruitments to ethnic favoritism and stalled promotions. An EACC report paints a damning picture of rot and dysfunction inside the very body meant to safeguard teachers' welfare. As technology fails, morale plummets and unions cry foul, the question lingers, who will teach integrity when tutors are themselves under siege, under siege? So the issues are rampant corruption, bribes demanded for jobs, promotions and transfers, with TSC ranked among Kenya's most graft-ridden institutions. Inefficiency and bias, They say portal failures, stalled promotions, and alleged ethnic and political favoritism in recruitment and advancement. And 3, teacher frustration. They say poor service delivery, unfair transfers, and exploitative internship terms, eroding morale and trust in the commission. And they just opposed this headline with a story they covered on the 11th of this month, that is yesterday, where they said principles from hell. The story has been covered on page 4. Teachers say the leadership has failed to address their issues, even as EACC says commission is wanting. And from issues of tribalism to corruption, commission has a lot on its plate. So at a glance, Teacher Service Commission employs over 406,000 teachers as of April 2024, and recent government plans aim to increase this number significantly, with a goal of hiring an additional 24,000 teachers by January of 2026, which will bring the total close to 100,000 new hires since 2022. That's the only story covered on the front page of the Standard. Tukiangalia ndani on page 2, how principals, students, and exam officials collude to cheat matters KCSE. They say some head teachers have been sacked as center managers for malpractices, and some schools are mounting projectors to display answers to candidates. Primary school has reject push to move JSS. The story on page 3 says luxury Dubai yacht held in Kilifi as tourist safari in Masai Mara. Hii kitu niliona pale social media, and there were a lot of speculations ya mwenyewe. They say its detention drew national attention and speculation among Kenyans online. Officials later confirmed it posed no risk, only procedural docking clearance issues. On the back page, how do African World Cup playoffs work as battle kicks off? Only one of DR Congo, Cameroon, Nigeria, and Gabon will have the chance to reach the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and Africa playoff winners will progress to a 6-team intercontinental qualifier next year. That's the Standard.
All right, there's another story on inside pages of the Daily Nation that we skipped. It's about ODM and their anniversary. So the anniversary kicks off tomorrow in Mombasa. It's a 4-day event, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, even the president is expected to attend. So this is a renewed fight for the heart and soul of ODM. Anakwambia ile siasa ODM inaenda kuchacha huko, waacha tu.
It's a story on page 7.
Yes.
Daily Nation.
Interesting. Kenya yaangukia dhahabu, ndio habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Na unakumbuka hao watu wa Kolomani wamekuwa wakitafuta dhahabu kwa miaka mingi sana, na wanapata lakini kidogo kidogo. Sasa Kenya hatimaye ajiunga na mataifa yanayovuna mabilioni kutokana na madini ya dhahabu, kaunti ya Kakamega. This is a game changer. I don't know why, by the way. I'm just smiling.
Nimekuwa nikishangaa story na kupata.
Hii story inanifurahisha sana. So wasema kwa miaka mingi ripoti za wataalamu zimeonyesha kwamba Kenya ina utajiri wa madini, hasa dhahabu, katika eneo la magharibi mwa nchi. Na sasa kampuni ya Uingereza hivi karibuni itaanza kuchimba migodi ya thamani ya mabilioni ya fedha. You know, fine, it is prospecting for gold, but if they're allowed, it's just how massive this will mean. How big of a windfall it will be for the households that will be affected, because they have to tell everyone, please, you have to exit. 800 households, for them to move, that is quick money for all of them. Money that they've never seen in their lives.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm happy for them. Habari zingine hapa kwenye ukurasa wa mbele, makomando kutumwa Baragoi. Watasimamia operesheni mpya ya kabiliana na wizi wa mifugo na kutoa silaha haramu. ODM wahubiri amani kabla ya sherehe. Wanasiasa Mombasa waimarisha wito wa umoja miongoni mwa wanachama kwenye vikao. Sherehe zinaanza kesho. Miaka 20 ya ODM kule Mombasa. Vinara wa Chadema sasa huru, waliachiliwa jana. Wanasiasa 4 wakuu wa upinzani pamoja na ule John Heche alikuja Kenya mazishi ya Raila Odinga, akasimamishwa pale. Ilikuwa wapi? Isabani ama ilikuwa wapi pale? Pinzani Tanzania akiwemo Heche waachiliwa. Pale juu Kanja MPSC wavutana kuhusu umri. Tume yataka IG na manaibu wastaafu wakiwa na umri wa miaka 60 lakini Kanja anasema hapana, bado tuko na uwezo wa kufanya kazi na kuendelea. Kwenye spoti, England Serbia gozi la burudani. Three Lions walianza kwa mwendo wa kobe, lakini mashabiki wanatumaini. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 20 gazeti hili. Lakini Kenya yaangukia dhahabu.
Kakamega yaangukia
Kakamega tu.
Okay, Business Daily. Turkey loses 1.1 billion shillings pay in M-Pesa apps ownership row, and says software developer has missed out on a substantial payday after the High Court reversed a 1.1 billion shillings compensation for his ideas, which Safaricom partly used to develop 2 M-Pesa apps.
That's sad. He had been awarded 1.1 billion shillings.
Imagine. After the High Court yesterday overturned the award to Samuel Wanjohi through Popote Innovations, ruling that the Turkey lacked a signed contract with Safaricom to deserve the 1.1 billion shillings payout. That's your sign to sign contracts.
That's a sad state of affairs. He had been awarded 1.1 billion shillings.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not disputing that his ideas were used. They're just saying, okay, fine, yes, your ideas were used, but we can't pay you because you do not have a signed contract.
Ni contract hauna.
We?
And he's here on the front page, Samuel Wanjohi, founder and director of Popote Innovation.
Yeye ni sura ya mtu ametokwa na 1.1 billion.
11 reforms behind World Bank freeze of a 96 billion shillings Kenyan loan. There's another story on page 2, and they say the World Bank has listed 7 laws and 4 policy reforms it wants implemented before it can release a 96.9 billion shillings loan to Kenya. On the ticker, State Farm's targeted for merger to spend 118 billion shillings in salaries. AFA bans harvest trade of macadamia to protect quality. That is the Agriculture and Food Authority. They say it has banned the harvest and trade of locally produced macadamia nuts for 2.5 months, citing immature crop development. Macadamia inakuanga uko Nyeri sana.
Clearly ulikuwa Nyeri hivi majuzi.
Always in Nyeri. Uchumi posts rare profit on rental income is another story on page 6.
Uchumi still exists. Many people may not know, but kumbe they rent out their former supermarkets.
Uchumi supermarket. That's the Business Daily.
All right. Do we have one more? Yes, People Daily. Inside Kenya's growing crime networks. Yes. So the score in 2021, 6.95. It went up to 7.02 in 2023, and in 2025, 7.18. That's a global organized crime index. So Kenya is 11th out of 193 countries in as far as growing crime networks. 11th. Kidogo tu hivi tukue top 10.
Wow.
That's how good we are doing. We are 4th of 54 countries in Africa.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we take the crown in East Africa. We are first of 9 countries in East Africa.
Goons.
Sisi ni nani? Sisi. Walikuwa wanataka kutupatia namba zingine. Sisi lazima tukue number 1. In as far as growing crime networks. Kenya iko na kila kitu. The best businesses. Now we even have gold. Lakini, in as far as crime networks, we are doing well. Tuna represent. Hapa chini, they do a different story about young tax eyeing 2027. Generation challenges Ruto and the old guard. So they have images here of some politicians who've expressed intention to vie for different seats. Pale, of course, Boniface Mwangi amesema he's running for president. Professor Fred Ogola pia says he is running for president. Huyu SG, Edwin Sifuna, anasema katibu wa ODM. Lakini hajasema na run for president. Nafikiri anataka ku run for ni governor ama nini. Ama anataka tu ku retain hiyo seat yake ya Senate. So probably that story on page 6 about how young Kenyans are changing the outlook of politics heading towards 2027. But at least we are number 1 out of 9 countries in East Africa in as far as growing crime networks.
Gangster paradise.
Yeah, gangster paradise. That's the People Daily.
Finally, the Star. Museveni threatens war with Kenya over Indian Ocean. Ethiopia locked in conflict with Somalia over similar dispute. Tuangalia Museveni anasema nini hapa. Anasema he warns of conflicts over Uganda's access to Indian Ocean. And speaking during a radio interview in Mbale City where he was campaigning, Museveni said blocking landlocked countries from access to the sea was madness. insisting Uganda was entitled to the Indian Ocean because of its economic and security needs.
But from where does he want to access that Indian Ocean? He can access it through Tanzania if he wants.
Okay.
He could also lay claim on the other side.
Anasema, how can you have a situation like this? Uganda is landlocked inside here, but where is my ocean? Where is my ocean? My ocean is the Indian Ocean. No. It belongs to this and this. This is madness.
You know, he used a different analogy that if you're living in a block of flats and you live maybe on the 5th floor, at now the person on the ground floor cannot claim that he's the one who has access to the compound, so the compound is his. The compound belongs to everyone on that block of flats. That's how he's arguing it.
Yeah.
But okay, fine. How do you access the ground floor? Anakasirikia nani? Hapo ndo nataka kujua. Hasira ni kwa nani?
Kenya.
You can have the Indian Ocean. Yeah.
Okay. Raila was long-serving Gor patron until his death. Long-lived patron Gor Mahia paid tribute to Raila Odinga at Kango Kajaramogi in Bondo, Siaya County. Refugees stay at hunger after donor fund stop is another story on page 2. And how Sulumeti handled delicate Bomas discussions on power sharing. That is Bishop Philip Sulumeti, who died the day after yesterday.
The day after yesterday is today.
The day before yesterday. When was it?
Anyway.
Monday. He died on Monday.
Okay.
Yes. These are the stories making headlines locally.
So fresh, independent, different. Grab yourself a copy of The Star today. It is only 60 shillings in Kenya. All right. Tuangazie masuala ya karakacha, na huyo jamaa anasema ati anataka kudemand Indian Ocean. So the cartoon of The Star has 2 doors. This one, I think, goes to Tanzania because kwa dirisha tunaona mama, upande ile ingine kwa dirisha tunaona Joel na Mbasava. So kwake mlango ni ya fridge. For Kenyans trying to, you're now entering Ugandan territory, unaingia kwa fridge. Ukijaribu kwenda kule kwingine unaingia wapi? Kwa jeneza. Sio mimi nimesema, ni huyu cartoonist on The Star.
All right, this is Daily Nation. Opposition kule, kuna mama bado hapo, na mama amekuwa kwa caricature sana tangu last month hadi leo. Opposition amewaachilia huru waende wapae.
Alafu ana extend olive branch na watu wengine bado wako kwa jela kule. So amesema she's open to dialogue with the opposition. And that's why she released some of those leaders from Chadema. But Tundu Lissu is still behind bars. Tutaona watafanyaje. So you can see the trend. We're still talking about what's happening in the East African region, at least as far as the cartoons are concerned. So this is still a big discussion. Star, Daily Nation, and now The Standard as well. Matters East Africa, EAC. Ujamaa amefinya hapa activists, wanapiga nduru kweli kweli. Na activists wako na red na green na white. Na ni weusi, kwa hivyo ni wa Kenya. Wanafinywa proper. That's the cartoon on The Standard.
Finally, People Daily. By-elections, violence. Na mtu amekuwa karikachadia kama violence. Jana ulisema they're painted in a, what was this called, backward manner.
Wanakaa gorilla, chimpanzee.
Wanasema you are next, 2027 polls general election.
Also, it's not even about the by-elections coming up. By the way, countdown to the by-elections, exactly 14 days to the by-elections. Yes.
2 weeks.
2 weeks to go.
Exactly. All right. Those are the caricatures.
Once again, my panelists for State of the Nation, a look at the big headlines and the big discussions. John Njuguna Kawajiko, MP Kiamba, David Kiplagat, MP Soi, and Fanya Mambo Kinodhia, who's a lawyer and political commentator. They will be in studio in a few minutes' time to help us look at the big discussions this morning.
All right. Later on, we'll be talking about loss, how to deal with loss and grief. Richard Ziwa Zimbalist will be here alongside Nasim Katha for this conversation. But meanwhile, do interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya, on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital. My handle on X is at @Ann_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
My handle on X is at Fred Indemuli. See you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Ouma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Farika tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Farika is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Anyway, furahia umekaa na kasukuma. CP unit ni Punet.
So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Nasema hata ungehivi the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You'll have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with relation.
All right, good morning once again. This is the Morning Cafe on TV 47. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Time for us to take a look at the big headlines today, and there's no bigger one than the one on the front page of the Daily Nation and also Taifa Leo, and Kenya strikes gold. Yes, indeed, quite some excitement. You can see I'm trying to wipe off the smile from my face, but I can't. Yeah, because this portends a lot of positive things, but also there are challenges that could come their way as well. And that's why we want to discuss, that's why we want to start our discussion, because it's not a headline that we can ignore, even before we come to the other issues, including what's happening in the region. With my panelists this morning, on my immediate right, David Kiplagat, MP Soi constituency. Karibu sana, Bwana Kiplagat. And Fanyamambo Kinothia, who's a lawyer and political commentator. Good morning, karibu sana.
Very good morning to you.
So definitely some exciting news here for the people of Ikolomani. Anything, an opportunity to cash in on this. It's definitely a windfall, but we've seen that such may be seen as a blessing in so many different parts, but it comes with some serious risks as well and concerns. Bwana Kiplagat.
Yeah, from the headline, it seems this is a big win. The discovery of coal deposits in Ikolomani, in a certain village in Ikolomani, of around worth around 680 million, and the company is supposed to invest around 27 billion. So for sure, it's a windfall for the country and also for the people of Ikolomani, and also for the people of Kakamega, for the county of Kakamega. You know very well we have passed the Mining Act on sharing of revenue from the national government on the issue of metals and all the mining resources that are done. Is that is the percentage the national government gets, is the percentage the county government gets, and there is the percentage the local community also get. I think the local community gets around 4%. I don't know the percentage for the county government and also the national government. So in terms of the guiding principle and the legal framework to do the project, the legal framework is there. So I know in Africa, usually oil and precious metals have caused a lot of havoc in that there usually a lot of interest, especially when the local community feels that they have not benefited from their own resources. But I think in Kenya, with that Mining Act which is in place, it will be able to...
Has that always been the challenge? Because yes, we've seen communities like at the coast with the mining of titanium complaints that they were not benefiting much from the same.
I think basically, you know, the level of public participation in terms of them knowing that for this resource, how are they benefiting? So if that message is not passed very well and you get buy-ins, you know, sometimes that's somebody just comes and starts mining, people don't know what, so it now and the ballooning propaganda in between actually messes up. But I think if it is done in a systematic way whereby the local community are explained with, the benefits they will be able to accrue in terms of developing the area, what they will be able to benefit in terms of boosting the health sector, all those social benefits that are accrued. So if in totality they can paint the real picture of what are the benefits vis-a-vis the disadvantages that the community can buy in. So we urge the implementers to make sure that at least before they start project, they make sure that at least they have the buy-in from the local community, from the county government, and all the political leaders that are around, because you need everybody, because you know, when somebody like a politician throws something into the works, it messes up. So let us be systematic, let us buy in, let us be professional in how we handle the issue, and I believe if it is handled properly, then everybody will want to benefit.
Yes, but we've seen, Fanyamambo, that across Africa, some of these discoveries, some of this prospection of minerals and even oil have turned out to be more of a curse than a blessing in DRC, in Nigeria. How different would it be for the Kenyan situation?
I'd like to take us back. Around 2020, we were told that there was titanium estimated to be worth about 5 trillion Kenya shillings. In another measurement, they said the titanium was worth around 160 million US dollars, which is about 2 trillion. That titanium was mined. Now I'm telling you about something that has happened. So the company came, they set up base in Kwale, There was a lot of activity. They mined titanium. And the titanium is a very precious metal used for very important activities. Have we seen an impact of 5 trillion in Kwale? Have we seen lives change to the tune of 5 trillion? Sometimes some of this big news is exciting. 5 trillion is close to twice our national budget if we counted 3 trillion per year. So basically the titanium was supposed to at least at that time have funded our national budget for 2 years. We are yet to see an impact of that magnitude. Now we have gold worth 680 billion being discovered in Kakamega. This is a good thing, but at the same time we need to remember 680 billion to this economy is what we give to the Ministry of Education to run its activities for 1 year. So again, the impact of 680 billion may not be felt to everybody. What I feel and what I think we need to do so that people will never forget we had gold worth 680 billion is that we need to create infrastructure in that place. We need to water those people, because instead of saying we are going to give 4% to the community, let us do roads for that community. Let us do piped water for that community. Let us make sure that that community has electricity. So I strongly recommend that first, because we have to displace those people. There's no way it's going to be mined when they are there. So let the compensation be right. Let us have a very fair way of estimating how much their land is worth. Let us compensate them properly, because they have to be moved. Mining will not happen there. I see there's a lot of human settlement. So let us be humane in how we do it. And after we've done that, instead of saying we gave money to those communities, because that is very amorphous, it's intangible, it's invisible. Let us make sure that every home there gets electricity, they get water, they get good roads, they get hospitals and proper infrastructure.
Yes.
It is one of the best ways in which those communities can benefit. So it is my hope that by the time we are done mining gold worth 680 billion, there will be something visible in terms of impact to the lives of people of Ikolomani before it goes to any other place.
And perhaps the fact that they may have to displace, they will have to displace about 800 households. Probably that's the first opportunity for these families to benefit. But there's always been politics about displacement and compensation. We've seen what happened with the SGR land buying and stuff like that. That is also a potential issue of concern.
Okay, maybe just to correct what Wakili has said, on the issue of the local community and the 4% that is provided under the Mining Act. It is not that they are given cash, but they line up and given cash. You remember when we were doing the oil in Turkana, Talo oil, is that when there was the pilot to now take the first patch through road transport to Mombasa for purposes of export, the whole community rushed to the area and said that, where are you taking our oil, and you have not given us ATMs. We need ATMs so that when it goes, we go and put it in the bank and the money comes. So it is not like that. What happens is that the local communities will form their organization, to organize themselves, and they usually identify the projects to be done within the local community. These are community-based projects. So they'll identify whether it's a school, whether it's a dispensary, whichever they want to do, then that amount of 4% goes into supporting that. Also, the county government, from their resources, they will have now to identify the projects they want to do in the area, in the sum total, and then the national government will come in the bigger picture to do the national infrastructure projects. So, in terms of relocation of the of the people who are currently residing in the area. I believe it's not a big issue. Usually with the resistance that comes is that when you look at the opportunity cost of what benefit do you get, have you been given for you to relocate vis-a-vis what you are getting in the land. If they are not compensated properly, then it raises issue. But if they are compensated properly, and I believe for this one, because in terms of the wealth that those residents were residing on, it is so huge that in terms of the package they will be given, it should be commensurate with the resources they have left for this investor, given that if at all he will be given the license. And don't forget, in terms of we have not exploited our mineral resource, our natural resources. If you go to there's a belt in West Pokot that it has also a huge deposits of gold. I think currently they are doing in a small way, but if that belt also can be exploited, it can result into huge amounts of gold, because we have the data already. But now I think the government is still working on how to go about it. Usually, what happens is that because we are talking in Africa, it causes a lot of problems rather than a lot of benefits. What usually happens is the appetite. When you have a region. Like now, if you mention that you have a region, you have discovered resources that is worth 10 trillion, then somebody will think why should we, some leaders with myopic reasoning will start saying, why do we need to be in Kenya? Why don't we hive off ourselves and become a country? Usually that appetite within the local leaders now to try to be as independent as possible because of the amount of resources they have gotten is what actually causes the turmoil because of those natural resources, whether they are oil, whether they are minerals, and that is what is affecting Sudan. That's what is affecting this area of Congo. That's what is affecting the Niger Delta belt. So usually when a certain region within the country are so much resources that compared to the national resources that are available, they feel that they can be able to run on their own. So the local leaders now start forming militias to try to hive off themselves into their own country, and that is the biggest disaster that we have in Africa. And that is why we also say that the discovery of these minerals, if not managed properly, can be a political challenge that can destroy a country. So it has so many dimensions that sometimes, even if you have the law, but the appetite within the local leadership can be even go beyond the law that is established.
Yes, definitely excitement. Just to look at the headline, Kenya strikes 680 billion shilling worth of gold in Ikolomani, an area that has traditionally engaged in gold mining, but at a very low level. And so this time round, residents of Isulu and Bushiangala in Ikolomani, Kakamega, are on the verge of a windfall after this British firm revealed massive gold deposits in the area and is now seeking clearance to mine the precious metal in a venture that promises a fortune for the investor, country, county, and local communities. About 800 households may be affected because for this to happen, they will have to buy out about 300 acres of land in Ikolomani. So yes, let's hope that it works out. So the other big discussion that has dominated our headlines, today it's not on the front pages, but it's something definitely that has been a big talking point, is what's happening in the region. And we look at the cartoons today. Out of 4 cartoons, 3 of them focused on what's happening in Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. And there have been serious concerns expressed about the safety and welfare of Kenyans in Uganda and Tanzania. One of the cartoons has 2 doors portrayed as entry points to either Uganda and Tanzania. In Uganda, it is a fridge because Museveni said that he had some Kenyan activists in the fridges for a while. Then in Tanzania, the fact that some Kenyans have been killed on suspicion of taking part in the protests, that door has been portrayed as a coffin. But away from that, there are serious concerns, Bwana Fanyamambo, that even our Ministry of Foreign Affairs appears very slow in reacting to these concerns by Kenyans. That Kenyans, some of them who are doing legitimate business in Tanzania, are being targeted simply because of being Kenyan. Do you feel that that is what is happening, or is it true that we are to blame for some of the influences we have across this region?
Thank you very much. I think to start with, Samia Suluhu is not aware of who she's governing. So is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Now, anybody who was born in the western region of Kenya knows that, for example, our former vice president, one of the best, Mudi Awori, half of his family is in Uganda. The other half is here. Because Muzungu akichora boundaries, they didn't care to ask who lives where. So when they were doing boundaries, when they were dividing Africa abroad, and then for them to come here, they divided communities right through the middle. So there are so many people at the border between Kenya and Tanzania and Uganda, for example, who are Bukusu, who are Luya. In fact, there's Busia, Uganda, and there's Busia, Kenya. Mm-hmm. Now, you're telling a Kenyan who is on this side not to interfere in Uganda affairs. But Uganda affairs for him is his half-brother, his sister, his uncle, his mother-in-law. It's just across the border. In fact, they wonder why you have that thing called a border. Because some of them, actually, their farms were split in the middle. Because when the white man was drawing the boundaries, he didn't know that there's a family farm that he has split into two. And this family has gone to Uganda and this one is here. So when the people of that area are speaking to the president or Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, they are speaking to him about their relatives. And they are saying that our relatives have got reason to demand for good governance. When you come to the lower part of the border, the Sukuma in Tanzania, what they speak, any Luya would understand 40 to 50%. Those people are very much like the Luya. Our border with Isibania, you will not tell a Kenyan from Isibania, this side, a Kisi or a Kuria, and another one from the other side. Now, come closer. Tofauti ya Masai wa Namanga na Masai wa Tanzania ni nini? So when you come to tell us, this is Tanzania, don't interfere with our internal affairs, we are also telling you, as you govern, and as you govern terribly because you are governing terribly, we have our own people, our own family members who are on that side, and we have a right to ask for them, just like them, why are you governing that way? And also for them to realize this is something called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which we are signatories to. Human rights don't know borders. When you start killing people the way Tanzania is killing people, we treat you as a terrorist. And under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we all have a right, we all have a duty as citizens of the world to fight terrorism. Piracy is one of those things that you don't need anybody's permission to fight. Piracy is international crime. And wherever it happens, there is no border. Anybody can go into the high seas and start fighting pirates because they are a nuisance to the world. So presidents who behave like pirates, presidents who behave like terrorists, presidents who behave like murderers, presidents who do not respect human rights and dignity are in the same category as Al-Shabaab. And so we'll treat them the way we treat Al-Shabaab. You cannot wake up and decide to disrespect human life and expect people to be happy with you. You cannot wake up and butcher Tanzanians the way Tanzanians have been butchered and expect the whole world to keep quiet. Samia, we will tell you to your face, boundaries do not exist when human rights are in question.
But is our influence in what is happening in Tanzania that much to the point where the newly sworn-in president expressed that this is mainly influence from across the border, it's not from within Tanzania?
To start with, we have a terrible collection of people at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'll tell you why. Kenyans are in Uganda for 38, 39 days. You know, even a statement just saying, you know, even seeing the Foreign Affairs, like we would have expected the Ugandan High Commissioner to at least have a meeting here with the Foreign Affairs Ministry, and for them to just give us a press conference within those 39 days and tell us Kenya is having a conversation with Uganda. Nothing. They wait until these people are released. And then I hear the office of the fourth president is claiming responsibility for having done it. I see the government spokesman is saying we are the ones who did it. Come on, shame on you. Where were you, all of you, when we were saying that these Kenyans are suffering? Why didn't you tell us we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So what we are saying is, Samia Suluhu has discovered that she has no Suluhu She has no solution to the problems of the people of Tanzania. And so the only thing is to paint a demon, look for a scapegoat, something you can tell Tanzanians, you people are poor because Kenyans are taking from you. And create this animal that has to be fought throughout so that she leads the state in a terrible way without providing any services and blaming it on Kenyans. So Samia has got no solutions to the problems of her people. And that's what dictators do. Idi Amin Dada, when he was killing and butchering Ugandans, discovered one thing. He said, wait a minute, I have no solutions for the people of Uganda, so I have to create an enemy. And he said Asians were the enemy. So he chased them out, he gave Ugandans the shops that belongs to the Asians. But then later the Ugandans discovered that it's not the Asians who are the problem. The problem is Idi Amin Dada. And finally, let me tell you something. There was a time when Idi Amin Dada attacked Tanzania. They invaded Tanzania and they were there for a month. Within a whole 1 month of an army fighting inside the country, Tanzanians lost 1,500 people. Now we have what we call a democratically elected president, and we wonder what kind of democracy is that when you get 98%. Killing close to 3,000 people in 3 days. Yani Idi Amin Dada, a terrible dictator who butchered Ugandans and put cripples into Lake Victoria, was only able to kill 1,500 people in a month. Then we have someone claiming to be a Muslim, someone claiming to be so holy, someone claiming to call themselves Mama, butchering 3,000 people within a period of 3 days, and we are supposed to be comfortable. We will speak.
Okay. Now, the biggest concern from the Kenyan perspective is that our government appears to a huge extent be complicit in some of this, that whatever happens to Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania is not really a problem. In fact, they're seen as criminals. In fact, the government in Kenya appears to agree with the accusations from the other side that whoever went there was up to no good. We heard what the senator for Nandi said, that wakikuja huko finya hawa warudishe tuwafinye tena upande huu. Do you agree that that is a perception, that whoever crosses the border is up to no good?
I think, first of all, we should accept that Senator Cherargei, my good friend, is not the official spokesperson of the foreign ministry or
He's a parliamentarian.
The government for that matter. So whichever he imagined that day and said, that is his own views. And I think he also said that was his personal views. Usually in international diplomacy, it's a bit complicated, and the complications that also happens is that we have the East African Community Treaty, and that solemn understanding that every country needs to be respected, whichever funny they look like. So usually what happens behind the scenes between the three governments, that is the government of Tanzania and the government of Uganda, there are quite a number of things that are addressed without actually going to the media. So we might not know actually as to what the government has been able to do with the problems that our people have faced in Uganda, and also what the government is doing with the problems that our people are faced in Tanzania. So that remains in international democracy what we call there are some exchange of cables. You'll understand, especially when it comes to US, what I mean by cable. So there are quite a number of things that, if you, as ordinary who are looking at, who are not in that space, might think that the government is complacent. But what I want to assure you is that the government is doing a lot to make sure that the safety of Kenyans that are doing business in the two countries is safeguarded, and most of the misunderstanding is actually will be addressed within the treaty.
As a member of parliament, are you privy to any of this exchange that you're saying you are assuring Kenyans that something is being done? There's a lot of discussion.
Of course, there's a lot of discussions
that you're aware of.
But you see, I'm not the official. I don't want to become Senator Cherargei so that I misquote. But what I know is that there's a lot that is happening. The only thing that I think there is a fear. There is a fear between the countries that surround us on Kenyans in general. Kenyans are they like airing their views. They like adding their space, and they also like making sure that their friends are also or enjoy the same democratic space that we enjoy. So in the process of that excitement, these other countries feels that this incitement, especially you have seen especially the reaction from Tanzania, they always feel that their people are a bit lukewarm and you could just do...
You agree a lot of what happened in Tanzania was influenced by Kenyans?
No, I'm saying if you look at the misunderstanding that Samia Suluhu has, if she feels that if it was not the interference and the social media activism of Kenyans, then their people could have been cool and be able to understand and be able to agree with the 98% and things like that, and life goes on. So she feels the it that she has gotten is actually from the activism of Kenyans. The same case, if you look at the reaction of...
the question is, as a Kenyan MP, do you agree with her? That
no, of course I don't. I don't agree with the hallucinations, but you know, that is how she feels. And that's why she, maybe if you see a Kenyan there, you can say, don't even bring X, don't do what. And Makiu, we have a lot of, we do a lot of trading partnership. And if you look at the data that we have, especially Uganda, in fact, most of our exports, around 48% actually goes to Uganda. So there are quite a number of things that we share that it is good, although painful, to be handled through the international, through the international diplomacy, so that they can be ironed out, rather than you can feel, you know, when somebody feels that you need me more than I need you. You can hear Museveni, what he was saying the other day, I don't know whether he was misquoted or something, that he doesn't understand the reasons why he doesn't have a sea line.
It is there on the front page of the Star that he wants direct access to the ocean.
He doesn't understand, so he feels that whoever was colonizing or dividing the nation did them some not very good favor, and he feels that they should be war for them to make sure that they can go to, I don't know whether he wants to go to Mombasa or wants to go to where, I don't know. So you see, such utterances is that because we are gentlemen, we shall handle it differently. You don't expect now the president to come and say, now try me, I will eat your head. You know, it balloons to something else.
Right.
But sometimes you do things behind the scenes so that you can cool things and be able to continue.
Let's take a short break. We'll be back to finish off this conversation about what's happening in the region before we get back to our local politics. You're watching Morning Cafe, State of the Nation, and look at the big discussions on TV 47.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gun. Betty, I didn't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Hey, I mean, you know, nakubali.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist, what is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV47. A look at the big discussions in Kenya. Some on the front pages of our dailies, some not, but definitely still talking points across the country. We are just about to embark on a look at Kenyan politics, the return of Uhuru Kenyatta to the political fray, ODM at 20, the beginning of celebrations tomorrow. But before that, Fanyamambo, I saw you disagreeing with some of what Kiplagat was saying with regard to Samia Suluhu's sentiments about Kenyans. What is it exactly that you disagree with as a final comment before we move on?
The only person who has not learned from Tanzania after having led Tanzania for 2 years is Mama Samia Suluhu. I don't know where she was at independence. She's now 65 years old. And she needs to know there was something called Maji Maji rebellion and the Hehe uprising, where Kinjekitile Ngwale told his people that he has magical waters that will save them from the British bullets, and they went to war, and very many of them were killed by the British. Were those Kenyans? They were Tanzanians before she was born, and those Tanzanians were not extinguished. Their great-grandchildren are here, and those are the ones who are causing her problems. She needs to understand one thing. It is not the people of Tanzania who are violent. It is not the people of Tanzania who are going to the streets. It is her terrible administration that is leading them to go to the streets. If she was doing the right things, if she was allowing democracy, if she was not jailing opposition leaders, nobody would go to the streets. She does not see where the problem of Tanzania is. Mama Samia Suluhu, wake up, go put a big mirror in your sitting room, look at it, all the problems of Tanzania in that mirror. And the minute you move away from that mirror, the problems of Tanzania move away from that mirror. Stop looking at the people of Tanzania as mad. There is no way a nation can unite in unison to say that you are wrong as a head of state, and you come and say that the citizens are wrong. Mama Samia Suluhu, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong. And if there's nobody who is telling you that in Tanzania, we who are here are telling you, your citizenry has done no wrong.
Okay.
Actually, they went to the streets because they felt they've tried telling you so much, but you're not listening.
There's a trend we've noticed in the region, and as we finalize this, is a deployment of the military. Even in something as simple as an electoral process, which is supposed to be a democratic process, that within a day, after people go to the polls, we see the military on the streets telling the police, keep off now, we're in charge of this. We saw that trend here in Kenya. Do you see that continuing for a while, that military is to be deployed on a whim?
Let me tell Kenyans something profoundly deep, and this they need to go and think about. When the Arab uprising was happening, starting with Tunisia, everybody said that this can happen anywhere else, but it cannot happen in Egypt. And they were asked why. It's because in Egypt, even the supermarket attendants were members of the army. They had so militarized the state that everybody was afraid of doing something because there was a military officer somewhere. It is a good thing and it's a bad thing, and I'll tell you why. That is where Uganda is. That the more you fear reprisals from the people, the more you over-militarize. So you find that even if somebody is shining shoes somewhere in Kampala is an NIS detective for the government, trying to gather intelligence for the government. Let me tell you what happened in Egypt. At the time when the people of Egypt wanted to protest, the president told them, the army, shoot the protesters. Now, the army, for the first time, declined. But do you know why? This person had over-militarized the state to the extent that everybody holding a gun, anytime they looked at the crowd, they saw somebody they were related to. Because if I am an army officer, I have a brother, I have a sister, I have a cousin, I have a father-in-law. So when they were told to shoot, everybody was telling the other one, don't shoot the guy in red, that's my sister. Don't shoot that, that's my cousin. Don't. So it was not possible for the army to shoot the civilians because every person holding a gun was either related to somebody in the crowd or was being told by somebody next to them, if you kill my cousin, I'll kill you. And that is how the uprising in Egypt became successful in favor of the citizens. Where Uganda is where Egypt was. that they think the solution to their problem is increasing the number of men and women in boots. And they do it, and they give them more guns. But the more you increase the army, the more you increase the number of people who have personal and physical relationships with the people they are supposed to fight. That's why it failed. And I'm telling Tanzania, she's now heading in that direction. Recruiting more army people, recruiting more police, arming them, telling them to fight civilians. A time will come when he will send brothers and sisters against their own kin, only that these ones are uniformed and those ones are not. And the answer will be no. So over-militarize if you think that will work for you. Increase the number of forces, but it works usually to the detriment of the dictator.
And it says something about the level of our democracy. In a democracy, the military is the last resort to come and deal with the citizenry.
Of course, yes. And maybe Ndimuli, you allow me to just go back to the issue of Tanzania. You know, some of our people don't understand the current scenario that we find Tanzania is in. You see, the founding father, that is Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, when they got independence, they agreed that there was an accord, an understanding that, of course, there is the constitution that says that when the president dies, the vice president takes over. I think it's part of the constitution in Tanzania. In Tanzania, usually it was two countries. We had Zanzibar, and then we had Tanganyika. So what Mwalimu Julius Nyerere did was to bring a union of the two countries together so that we form Tanzania. And it was said that the president will always come from the mainland, while the deputy president or the vice president will come from Zanzibar. And it was also agreed that let Zanzibar be semi-autonomous, in that they will have their government, they will have their, it's like a jimbo, they will have their government, they will have their president, they will have their parliament, they will have their everything to manage, while now, in terms of the global issue, they will be managed by the mainland and things like that. So there are only two instances in which Zanzibar have gotten the presidency. We had Ali Hassan Mwinyi. He became the president, I think, in 1989 or 85, when Mwalimu Julius Nyerere died, and he was the vice president. So he became the president. 86. Yeah, or thereabout. So this other one, when this Machiavellian president who was very hardworking, was called Magufuli. So when Magufuli died, then Suluhu became the president by virtue of the constitution. But in terms of the real agreement, it wasn't supposed to be like that. It always the president has to come from the mainland. So I think the fear now of Suluhu was to go to an election as the president, and it is in the understanding of the Tanzanians, the president should always come from the mainland. That's why he felt that because power has been sweeter, because Tanzanians expected that after they finish, then they'll go back to their default settings. But because, you know, when you get to power, it becomes a bit sweeter. So you don't want to leave. And the only way you can leave, since the mainland are the majority, of course they'll kick you out. So he felt that maybe I can arrest everyone and remain alone so that I can compete against myself. So that was the dictatorial behavior that Suluhu did, so that she can override what it was in the actual agreement of the founding fathers. And that's why we have the current scenario is, and that scenario can only be unlocked if we are going to have a dialogue between all the parties, so that everybody can be brought to understand where the scenario is. Then they can agree. If they can agree that because this Suluhu wants this power, maybe she can be given 2 years to plan herself on her exit. Then they now do a proper election. So I believe, with that understanding, the only way to safeguard the fabric of Tanzania is to have a national dialogue. So that and I believe that is also what the president, maybe she has come to her senses, and that's what she's selling. Yes, whether indeed. But jailing all your competitors, I think it is only a lull for some time and it will explode.
Yes, definitely. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has extended an olive branch to the opposition, suggesting that she's open to dialogue to try and resolve the stalemate that exists in Tanzania. But there are serious concerns from our end, from this side of the border, that Kenyans, our brothers and sisters who are trading and living in Tanzania, and even those who are taking part in businesses in Uganda, that they could be targeted, seen as influencing political dissent in those two countries, and the slow nature of response from the Kenyan state also a cause for concern. I want us now to come back and consider some of the political happenings. Perhaps the biggest and probably most interesting is the return of President Uhuru Kenyatta into active politics, with some of the pronouncements that he made. One of them giving a warning to members of the Jubilee Party to go slow on some of the harsh words that they were using against opponents. And for the first time, he mentioned the former deputy president by name. I don't think, in my recollection, I had the former president mention Rigathi Gachagua any time. And just how consequential is this? Does it leave him now open to political missiles from both sides, including from President William Ruto? What does it mean for the political dynamics of this country to have Uhuru Kenyatta back in that position?
To start with, it means that he is enjoying his rights as a Kenyan. I saw people citing the Retirement Benefits Act for the president and saying he's supposed to retire. And I always remind them that, number one, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. And any act of parliament that contradicts the Constitution then becomes unconstitutional to the extent of its contradiction. If you look at President Barack Obama, the day he left office, he came back 4 years later and campaigned actively around the whole of the United States for Joe Biden. He was enjoying his rights. He continued to have state protection. He continued to have state security. And by the way, remember this time round, he was campaigning at a time when Trump was president, and he was president on not the Democrats, the Republican side. So he was campaigning against the government of the day. But he was allowed to campaign. Hakunyang'anywa security, the nonsense we hear here. Hakuambiwa hatapewa benefits, the nonsense that we are hearing here. He campaigned actively against a candidate that was the incumbent head of state. Trump would become a one-term president, like someone I know is about to become a one-term president. So Trump became a one-term president that time, and Joe Biden took over for 4 years. When Joe Biden was done, it was time for Kamala Harris. President Barack Obama came out again, and he campaigned properly against, he campaigned properly for Kamala Harris. And Trump was vying that time. That's when he secured his second term. All I'm trying to say is that if we are going to establish ourselves as a democracy, we must learn from developed democracies. You cannot have some funny legislators I saw the other day shouting at Uhuru Kenyatta and telling him to shut up and retire. You're telling him to shut up and retire as who? He has his constitutional rights. Nobody told Obama to shut up and retire. Obama went throughout the United States of America and he campaigned for the candidate of his choice, and he was respected. Na hakunyang'anywa security, na hakutumiwa small demagogues to insult him for having offered himself to campaign for the candidate of his choice. That is the kind of democracy we are looking for. Number two, he speaks about Rigathi Gachagua, which I think is a good thing. And I wish our good friend Kawajiko had come. Let us give him the benefit of doubt for having not been here. But there's something I would have told him, but I'll tell him because I know he might be watching, that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is showing direction. He's saying, look at William Ruto. William Ruto is actually looking for Gideon Moi. He's bringing him to State House. He's shaking his hand. He's saying, let us work together. Because when those two unite, we get Singapore. But when 2-3 Kikuyus unite, you're told it's tribalism. So he's telling, and that's the message I wanted to pass to Kawanjiko, you cannot be the person who is seen to fight the people from your own region. In fact, if anything, I wish Kawanjiko had allowed himself to become the person who says, President, I will fight members of the United Opposition, but don't tell me to fight people from my own community because you are shaking hands with people from your own community. So what Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is telling people is that we all have to work together. The politics of insulting one another will not take us anywhere. By the way, I want Kenyans to look at Fanyamambo Kinuthia and all my clips, and there are very many. I have never called the president the names I hear people calling him. I've had people call him Kasongo. I've had nicknames that have been given to the deputy president. I don't know Soprano, I don't know Sophia. I have never called them those names, but I call out their governance. I call out their leadership. In fact, I can sit on this TV and call out all the programs about the president that I think are not doing well. But calling him names, personal attacks on him is wrong. And I think this is what Nani is saying. This is what Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is saying. That come and say what you don't like about Rigathi Gachagua's leadership and the things he's saying. But let us not have personal attacks. If, for example, I have him here and I start giving him names, it means I have lost the agenda and I'm now insulting him. I need to fight with him as the MP for Soy and tell him as MP for Soy, I have a problem with bursary, I have a problem with this, I have a problem with this, and fight him on issues. That's why me as Fanyamambo Kinuthia, Mungu anisaidie, nimalize hii miaka 2 bila kuita President Kasongo, because I don't think I have a problem with William Ruto. I have a problem with his presidency.
Could we be overplaying the fact that he pronounced the name Gachagua in that? He could have mentioned any other name, including the president, because there have been insults directed at all these politicians.
Specifically, he mentioned the name Gachagua for a reason. The message he's trying to pass is that he knows that Gachagua commands a good following within the region. It is no use fighting Rigathi Gachagua. Our common enemies are known, and it's not even the president himself. It is SHA, it is primary education, it is capitation to school, it is these bursaries that are being given kiholela holela, it is the loans that we are taking carelessly. Our enemies are known, and those are the enemies we are fighting against.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bwana Kiplagat, of course, as Fanyamambo said, he quoted some members of parliament, specifically the Nandi senator, again, Bwana Cherargei saying that simply because Uhuru Kenyatta is back and is trying to revamp the Jubilee Party, he should be denied his retirement packs. Do you agree? Do you feel that his return makes your side of the political divide a bit uncomfortable?
I believe, I think I have responded on the issue once or twice when I was here in TV47. I believe any Kenyan has a right to have his political alignment, and constitutionally they have that freedom to choose whichever they want to align with. So that is the former president's prerogative to either decide, like any other gentleman, when you have served this country for 10 years, to go and rest and do other things, or to come up with to active politics. And I believe the problem that we faced is that he is the youngest retired president. So I believe he still feels he has the energy to determine whoever wants to be the president, and that is his prerogative rights, and we should deal with the scenario that we find that one creates. I believe if we look at our party and the broad-based as a whole, we have so many positives and so many friends to be able to clinch the 2027 elections with ease. So we don't want to focus so much as to whom do we want to go and tie in a corner so that he doesn't talk, whom do we want to go and do what. Let everybody enjoy their freedom, but I believe at the end of the day, we have the message and we have the numbers and we have the agenda to move this country forward. And for sure, looking at the entire spectrum in terms of the political activities that is happening, our president has a thumbs up in terms of he's ahead of all the shenanigans that is happening politically, because the opposition have a minefield of their own. They are yet to agree. They just say united, but within the undertones, crafting a winning strategy, I believe, it's the hardest thing to do. So in between, there will be so many dynamics, and as they say in politics, one day is a whole it's a whole century in politics, so things will change. Things will happen to change. And if there is one of the smartest politicians, we will all agree, is President William Samoei Ruto. He knows when to strike, he knows when to form coalitions, he knows when to do what he has to do. So I believe
you're not worried.
We are not worried. So let us not focus so much on the unity. And you know what happens is that I believe at the end of the day, that's my belief, that Uhuru Kenyatta will, in future, might join hands with the Honorable Rigathi, the Wamunyoro, to agree on their own. Both of them are not candidates for that matter, but they might somehow agree on what to do in future.
But so it's definitely a bit complicated, this one, because, and you see the kind of suspicion that has been directed towards the revamping of Jubilee Party, that it would appear now the cracks or strands within political lines within the Mount Kenya region, if we may think of it as a homogeneous voting bloc, that this time around they're more divided. Now, especially because with the DCP as a new party, and the fact that some members of parliament from that region still belong to UDA, and there are quite a number that declare support for the deputy president. And now we see the return of Jubilee, which predominantly would seek support from the same. Don't you think that that complicates the matter for the Mount Kenya region in terms of political support?
Let me tell you. The reason that DCP is not as strong as it should be right now is because of the number of Kikuyu-speaking MPs and MCAs who are still within UDA. Let me explain. The bulk of them do not want DCP to pick up in their constituencies and in their wards while they are still in government. Because those people who make it grow within their regions when they are still in government will become the next MCAs and MPs. The biggest strangulation to the development of DCP in some of the regions is sitting MPs and MCAs. And he would understand there is an avalanche of UDA-affiliated MPs and MCAs who do not have the courage to leave UDA right now, but their hearts and minds left a long time ago. Unasikia mtu ni minority leader mahali, maybe kwa county assembly fulani, majority leader kwa county assembly. Those are packs they don't want to lose. But their hearts left UDA a long time ago. And they wish they were in DCP. In fact, some of them have been funding some of those DCP activities. We hear someone say, I'll come at the right time. I can't come right now, but here is. So all we are trying to tell this UDA, please do not be overconfident. And please do not be excited when you see people telling you, we are from the mountain and we stand with you. You will know that come January 2027. Most of these politicians are only loyal to their own stomachs. They will jump ship in the morning. They will leave these people stranded. I don't think there is a singular person who will offer themselves on a UDA ticket anywhere within the mountain. And he will know that is true because right now, na 2027 haijafika, they're having to put up a very big struggle in Mbere North. The amount of money that UDA is spending there, they're even campaigning at night, which is against the law. So there is no hope for UDA within the mountain. But of course, we have those opportunistic people who have to eat from UDA to the very last minute, and they will bolt out, but it will be too late for them.
But the assumption, according to what you're saying, is that they will all move to DCP. There's now Jubilee. That is also an opportunity for them. Does that complicate the matrix?
I'll tell you this. I was a member of Jubilee Party for a very long time, and a very faithful and loyal member. Maybe that's why I still have red sweaters with me. But today, I went to Dagoretti South. In fact, I'm vying for MP Dagoretti South. When I talked to them, I was telling them how I'm going to be pragmatic and how I'm going to come with a new party and how we shall have a new force, how I can even vie as independent. They told me, go and come here smelling Wamunyoro. So I told them, how does Wamunyoro smell? And then they would smell me and tell me, you're not smelling Wamunyoro yet. Now, the problem we have as a nation, which sometimes is a good problem or a bad problem, is the people who tell you where they want you to be and how they want you to come approaching them. I told them, but I'm in Jubilee, na I have not left Jubilee. They told me, ulisimama na hiyo Jubilee hapa tukakuangusha. Na sisi tulio kuangusha na hiyo Jubilee tutakuangusha tena. So kama unatusikiza endo kuje na DCP. I think we have to become a listening people. Initially, I used to think I'll come and tell them what I want and what I think is right. I have discovered that they loved me so much, they would have voted for me if I had boarded the wheelbarrow. But I felt I was too fat to fit in a wheelbarrow. I still am. I don't think I would want to be in a wheelbarrow anyway. I am happy I didn't fit in one. So Jubilee is good, as you said, but where have the people put it in their hearts? And when you go to them, they tell you if you give them a red ticket and a green ticket, they pick the green one. Mm-hmm. So you have to work with people because you want to lead people. And for now, I have listened to them, and where they tell us this is where we want to be, that's how we shall work. I mean, we've had pragmatic leaders. Look at somebody like Sifuna. He's a leader we celebrate. But he had to fit within ODM. I think if he had come for Senate as independent, he wouldn't have gotten it. But he's still proven himself to be a worthwhile and astute leader within ODM, to the point that now people are saying they can vote for him even if he came as an independent candidate. I think some of us are in that space. We need to work with what works for now, and even in due course. And
Jubilee is not it?
Jubilee, for now, for where I am vying, for me, is not it.
And for the larger Mount Kenya region?
It smells the same.
Same. Okay. Let's consider another party that for the next 4 days will be the point of focus, including from the president himself. The ODM party, they're marking their 20th anniversary in Mombasa, beginning tomorrow. It's a 4-day celebration. Among those people expected there is ODM 001, a founding member, William Ruto. A lot of focus there, and people have noted that even the president himself is not talking about UDA anywhere. He's talking more about ODM going forward. Yeah.
Of course, politics is a game of numbers, and we are in politics to win. We are not in politics to lose or to hold certain positions that will undermine your winning. So I believe right now ODM is in a state of transition from leadership from, you know, BAMBA was BAMBA and BAMBA was ODM. And may his soul rest in peace now that BAMBA is not there. They are trying to come up with a leadership structure that will sustain ODM. And I believe, looking at it, so far they are holding together. I know in terms of the region that Raila was able to hold, we might need to, the president might need to do a coalitions with those regions that with Raila's absence. But I believe something that is solid is the Luo Nyanza when it comes to ODM, and I believe, looking at it, the dissenting voices are a bit smaller in terms of those who are not agreeing with us, but 90% of the entire ODM, especially from the Luo Nation, they are agreeing that
yet ODM was larger than the Luo Nation. Yeah. ODM was the biggest party in Western Kenya.
You know, I've started off saying that the fact that now BAMBA is gone, of course, in terms of the foothold that he was able to hold in Western, the foothold he was able to hold in Coast, the foothold he was able to hold in Northeastern, and the foothold he was able to hold in the Kamatusa, the Kalenjins, was huge. And that is what now the president is working on, while cementing the Luo Nation. He's also looking at, for these other fragmented regions, what he needs to do so that he can still hold that fabric together, and I believe he is doing that. If you look at the Kamatusa region, is that the president is now very strong. Look at the Maasais, the Samburus, and all those regions now. They are in the basket family. Look at now. Okay, yeah, they are in family. You look at even the Northeastern. The Northeastern, it is a thumbs up to the president. He has been able to hold it. Now, what happens in the Western for now still needs a lot of calculations. You know, sometimes it's good to say the truth because there is the emergence of the young, vibrant leaders from Western, and also there is the trusted old guard who seem to be just tolling on who comes. So I believe in Western we have to observe at the end of the day strike when it's necessary and sufficient to know at what point do we strike and what balance do we create there so that we can hold the entire Western together. Cost will be the same. There is the Joe, there is the indigenous and all those fabric. The beauty, all of them are aggravating towards the broad-based. So I believe also they'll be able to be handled in their issues to be brought on board. So in terms of building a winning coalition, I believe the president is then on top of it, and there will be another coalition. Mm-hmm. There will be another coalition between ODM and the larger ODM and UDA, and the president will contest in that coalition arrangement. Mm-hmm. So things will boil nicely. So yes. I believe today in this studio I've tried to be as positive as possible because.
But you do agree there are serious challenges.
You know sometimes I can't attack my colleague Wakili because I'm firmly on the driving seat. So he is struggling. He's struggling, and I know come 2027 he will be on the opposition. Us is try as much as possible that without having closed mind, we look at the framework, at the political spectrum of Kenya, and we analyze and we come up with a winning strategy for us to be able to get this chunk of votes. What do we need to do? Okay. For us to be able to get this, what do we need to do? For us to be able to get this, what do we need to do? After all, as the president said, nobody can get 98%, nobody can get 70%. Mm-hmm. What we require is we get at least 60%. You get.
The requirement is only 50 plus 1.
50 plus 1.
Okay.
So I believe from our framework, we are focusing on that winning formula. And
let's focus on ODM for a bit. Yeah.
In fact, I urge the president that if there's a party that we need to hold and make sure it holds together is ODM.
Okay.
At any cost.
ODM had never imagined in their wildest thoughts they would be marking these celebrations without Raila Odinga present. Now they're doing it. Of course, there are the internal wrangles. There's an emerging influence of William Ruto over the party. How do you think this will play out? Do you feel that the next 4 days could actually bring out something totally different that we did not expect?
I think I want to start from his funny calculations because he's wrong. They are so terribly wrong. Number one, he's speaking of a region that is supposed to be, for example, Luo Nyanza. Now, Luo Nyanza will not vote for William Ruto for very many reasons, starting with the death of Albert Ojwang and so many other things that have happened. Now, I don't know which school of thought they go to because they are still doing regional calculations.
Point of order.
No, let me explain.
Point of order in the morning. What has the president asked to do with the death of Albert Ojwang? The culprits are already in prison.
Okay.
Do you imagine when the president was sleeping that he ordered the police to kill Albert Ojwang? Sometimes, let us give the devil his due. And for a fact, there is nowhere the president can be blamed on the death of Albert Ojwang. Suppose you beat up your wife in the Muli and you are my supporter. So I'm blamed that why did you beat up your wife? You know, sometimes let us not also extend this fun a bit too far and the president becomes a bunching pack of any issue that happens, blame the president. Any issue that happens, action has been taken. IPOA took action. The culprits are in prison, and the court is there. So where does the president come in?
Thank you, Bwana Kiplagat.
To the extent that DIG is still there, the president comes in. But let me explain something. Mm-hmm. Anybody in 2027 thinking of regional votes has lost it. That region called Luo Nyanza had about 1.
Isn't everyone thinking the same way?
No. Yes.
That region called Luo Nyanza in the year 2022 had about 1.5 million votes. IEBC right now is targeting to register 6.8 million young voters. Number two, IEBC has to register another 1 million of those young people who are in Form 4 today. They'll be 18 by the time they finish this year. That will be 7.8 million. Next year, the whole of 2026, from January 2026 to December 2026, there's another 1 million young people who are going to finish their exams. So from this projected 6.8, add 2 million, it will be 8.8 million. Now, this is a demography that doesn't care where you come from. In fact, they don't want to know whether you are Kalenjin or Masai or Kikuyu. They don't even identify as Pokomo, Borana, or I'm from Northeastern or Western. These young people identify as Gen Zs, and they identify themselves as people who are pro-change. Nobody is doing their calculations around 8 million people. The president got 7.1 million people. Raila votes. Raila Amolo Odinga got about 6.9 million. Their difference was 200,000. The people we intend to register between now and the next general election is 8.8 million, and I can tell you they will register. In as much as there's a slow uptake right now, they will register. These 8.8 million people are the people we should be asking them ourselves, who is going to carry these votes? And I can tell you, anybody doing regional calculations in terms of tribes and all is going to have a shock of their lives. Number two, I keep hearing about Northeastern, and I'm excited about it because they have said that we shall have very interesting numbers in terms of voter registers. I urge KRA, please follow IEBC so that whoever registers to be a voter must also have a KRA PIN, so that we start seeing also in terms of tax returns. We cannot have a region that is going to have very many voters, but the tax returns, hata kama ni nil, they must equal to the number of voters. Because we cannot have that. I have been hearing that we have numbers in certain regions. We don't dispute them. The only thing that will confirm to us is that they also get KRA pins and they start filing tax returns, hata kama ni nil, then we shall know that truly those people do exist. I'd like to speak about ODM. An ODM at 20 and them meeting. In the Muli, I know by the time unafikisha miaka umefikisha, at some point you've had an aching tooth. Have you ever noticed that the tongue forever goes to where the aching tooth is? It's always leaking that gap. Or if you pluck out a tooth, the tongue is forever leaking that space. And nobody tells you you have an aching tooth or a leaking tooth, because every time ukikaa, the tongue is there. Where is the tongue of ODM? They keep talking about unity. Well, nobody has told them they are going to be disunited. In fact, we in the opposition have never told ODM, you have scattered. They wake up and out of their own volition, they are saying, we shall stand firm, we shall stand united. Nobody is going to divide ODM. We are looking at them and asking them, show us a clip where any of us told you we are going to disintegrate. So they usually go and sit internally, and then they come out, and the only thing they are telling us is about ODM unity. We ask them, who told you you are going to scatter? Who told you you are not going to be united? The tongue will forever turn to the aching tooth, and their aching tooth is their unity. They doubt it so much that they keep having to tell us that they will be united. As for UDA uniting with ODM, we wish them well. It's a good place for them. It's the only thing they can do to survive. But can you imagine a president who was elected from communities that defied even their own leader like Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, having to sit and now start thinking that he has to go and look for other regions because he's lost this particular region? If they had done well, they would probably be speaking of uniting with Jubilee, they would be speaking of uniting with DCP, they would be speaking of uniting with ODM itself and bringing the whole country together. But you can hear they've already dismissed other regions in this country, and they've decided they're only going to work with ODM. Why are they not looking for Jubilee? Why are they not looking for DCP? Why are they not looking for DAPK? They are looking for Amani National Congress, which died. There is another one that has got a few members of parliament called, I think, Ford Kenya, which nobody wants to hear about in Western. So they have already accepted a defeat in a sense. And I can tell you for sure, the more I listen to them, the more I see one-term loading at 300 kilometers per hour.
Mm-hmm. We've seen the kind of pilgrimages that people are making and still continue to make to the grave sites of Raila Odinga. And and it's from across board, across a political divide. And probably one would feel that everyone is hoping to extract some dividend from such a trip. Should we expect the same from for the ODM party as well, that everyone is hoping to extract something, and probably this is an opportunity, the 20th anniversary, that they may be going. I know Kalonzo Musyoka said he declined an invitation from Raila Odinga, but don't you think that even he stands to gain something, if at all whatever we saw in Bondo when he went there is anything to go by?
If you find yourself having to tell someone you helped in the past that it is their time to come back and help you, then you know that that person is ungrateful. Kalonzo Musyoka should not go and beg ODM to support him. They know what he has done for ODM, and they know how he has stood with ODM, and they know the sacrifices he's made for the sake of ODM. Can you imagine the votes Raila Amolo Odinga got minus Kalonzo Musyoka? In 2013, Raila Odinga would not have gone to court. The margin would have been shameful. In 2017, when we had to do a repeat election, remove the votes that Kalonzo Musyoka brought to ODM, do you think Raila Amolo Odinga would have gone to court? The reason he goes to court is because Kalonzo comes and brings a meaningful chunk that makes it so close that we have to go to court. Now, come to 2022, again he sacrifices. Can you imagine if Kalonzo Musyoka had not stood with Raila Odinga? These people would have whitewashed. In fact, there would have been no contest even in court. Raila Odinga would have lost so terribly, it would have been shameful, and he would not have looked like the national leader he was. Because Kalonzo brings a good number of votes from the eastern as well as from the coast and parts of Nairobi. So Kalonzo Musyoka is a formidable candidate, and he has done well. I think it's incumbent upon ODM to sit down and do their SWOT analysis and ask themselves, who of these people has been the best to us? Who of these people has been genuine? Who of these people has stood with us? Going to Raila's grave, and this is something that Samia Suluhu needs to ask herself, and Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Why are people going to Raila Amolo Odinga's grave? It's not because of the things that he carried with him to his grave. By the way, the only other physical thing, and it hurt me so much, was the kakofia that they threw in there. Every other thing that I'm seeing terrible leaders primitively accumulating, they will not go with it. The reason people are going to Baba's grave is the legacy. He fought for human rights. He fought for democracy. He fought for constitutionalism. He was jailed because of us. That is why people are going to his grave. Some of the leaders, and I will not mention, we have within the East African region today, if they die, Tapanya itaenda kutembelea grave yao. Nobody will want to go there. Because apart from what they primitively accumulated for themselves, and I don't know why people accumulate that much, apart from that, there's nothing else. Raila Amolo Odinga leaves a legacy you cannot touch with your hands. Because watu wanaiba, have you seen the number of things people are accumulating in this country? Yani unauliza mtu, are you normal? How many beds can you sleep on in a night? How many houses can you sleep in one night? How many cars, you look at someone and you wonder, is this guy normal? How many years is he going to be alive? Mm-hmm. So we celebrate Baba. The reason people are going to his grave is not because of what he accumulated. As I told you, when he left, the only extra thing they added was his kofia. And that for me made me shed a tear because that was painful. But they are going there because of what Baba has done for this country. If you're a leader today and you're occupying a position of leadership, ask yourself, once I'm gone, who will want to visit my grave? Mm-hmm. And why?
Okay.
Yeah.
Watching Kalonzo Musyoka and the kind of rousing welcome he got in Bondo last week, that would also put the president in a bit of an uncomfortable situation. You've just been talking about the mathematics and how Luo Nyanza plays into this. A good section, however small, may feel that their gratitude needs to go to Kalonzo Musyoka, if at all he decides to run against William Ruto. Does that complicate the matrix? He may get the party ODM, but probably not the people.
I doubt in the mood. I think you have been in Kenya long enough to understand that politics is about interest. And politics don't respect history or history benefits. It deals with the current. And there are no permanent enemies, there are no permanent friends, it is only interests. And at the end of the day, the ODM will make a decision based on their interests. And their interest as currently, which is loud, is that they'll have to be in the next government. And they know where the next government will be.
ODM the party?
Yeah, ODM the party. They'll know where the next government will be. That is the coalition with the president. So if you think that you can never bank on history.
What about the people? Forget the party.
You can never bank on history. You can only bank on what is the interest currently.
Yes.
And the interest currently is, they are saying that for the first time since independence, they have a Minister for Finance. They have never had a Minister for Finance in between. They have a Minister for Energy. They have a Minister for Mining, and they have a Minister for Cooperative. And there are some still good things that will come their way. So at the end of the day, we form political parties to gain power. And power is about resources. And if as at now, they are able to be comfortable with what they are able to, what the government is able to do for them, then I believe at the end of the day, what counts in 2027 will be the interest of the party, and the interest of the party lies with our side, that is with the side of President William Samoei Ruto. So history is you can call for celebrations of 15 years of having supported BAMBA. The people will come, they will rejoice, they will tell you good things that you are able to sacrifice, and at the end of the day, it ends there and life goes on. So I believe if Kalonzo was trying to milk from history, and then
yet you've seen that even William Ruto, the president, appears interested in wooing Kalonzo Musyoka his way. If at all he was that inconsequential the way you say, would William Ruto be interested in that?
Of course, I'm a very pragmatic politician, and I believe in looking at the real issues. And the real issues is that Kenya, we are still, Wakili, I was talking about the youth and the kind of votes they will be able to. May I also tell him, you know, sometimes also as a mathematician, you do statistics. And when you do statistics, you plot a graph. You plot a graph, and that graph tells you for every set of elections, how many voters do we add. And if you look at what we have been adding ever since we cleaned our register, we have been adding between 1.5 to 2 million. So this hyper theoretical 8 million is not, you'll never add. There's no, may I finish? Even in the other elections, we wanted to go to around 28 million, and we happen to ourselves to have increased from 19 million to around 22, and half of it even don't come and vote anyway. So sometimes let us be realistic and don't believe, you know, because I've seen, you know, I'm trying to give him free advice, which are unsolicited, and they are free. You don't have to pay anything. Look at Kenya in real. In real, politics of Kenya is about regions. That's the sad thing. And it's about building coalitions with regions. So if you think that there will be, the 2027 will be about an American elections where people just come and look at the issues and say, this is good, this is what, and they start voting. My friend, you are not in Kenya.
We have about 4 minutes to go.
So what I wanted to say is that Kalonzo as a regional kingpin from Mukambani, whether we like or not, that is, we can slice a bit, maybe 10 or 15%, but at the end of the day, the Ukambani nation will listen to Kalonzo. At the end of the day, the Kalenjin nation will listen to William Samoei Ruto. So every region have their own unique way, and you have to deal well like that. Okay. If you are intending to gain power in Kenya, and you are reasoning like Wakili, and there are so many politicians we have seen him reasoning like Wakili, PLO Lumumba. There are so many examples that have tried to create an utopian society and build US in Kenya. And what they have ended up is that they might not get even votes that is amounting to a polling station, and you are contesting for a president. So I would urge you to look at the Kenyan spectrum, political spectrum, the way it is, treat it as a region and know which person do you build a coalition so that you can add your numbers. And that is why we are also interested with Kalonzo. We are interested with Matiang'i because we know the kind of clout they possess. Right. So that is it. And that is Kenyan politics for you.
Final comment.
I think it's very simple maths. First, who brought us the 6.8 million number? It is their own Ethecon who they really fought for and chose for. That's their own Ethecon. And I'll tell you how he arrived at it. Every single year, 1 million young people sit their KCSE. But we have a huge, bigger number that do not sit KCSE, but they are out there. 2022, after we voted that year, we got 1 million people out of school. 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026. At least there will be 5 million young people on the lower side that will have finished Form 4, that are keenly watching, and they are happy to remove a government that spearheaded the killing of Gen Zs on our streets. Let me tell you one thing. They are saying that it's utopia. These are the same people who thought that for maandamano to happen in this country, it has to be led by Raila Amolo Odinga. And I remember a beautiful young girl saying, Baba pumzika tukuonyeshe vile hii maneno inaenda. Those young people were not speaking Kikuyu, they were not speaking Luo, they were not speaking Kisii on the streets. In fact, they were a combination of all the tribes in this country. The maandamano that gave them the biggest headache, that was 2024. The anniversary of it in 2025 and the Sabasaba of 2025 were done by young people who spoke nothing but English and Kiswahili and who were mobilized with no money but believing and meeting on X Space and saying, we are going to the streets and we want good governance. If those people give you a headache then, they'll give you a bigger headache in 2027. This is not business as usual. Nyinyi jaribuni kusema ni kizungu ya kina PLO na kinafanya mambo. I am telling you for free. Anybody who is thinking of tribal alignments, we will shame you at the ballot. We will do it so properly, you will see something you have never seen. There is an old folk that is going home. There is a generation that has refused to accept that things have changed. And I am telling that generation, every time there comes a time when people say we are breaking from the past, and this is it. And mimi ukiona nikiongea hapa, I am not even speaking as passionately as they do. Nyinyi mnakuja mnasema ati huyo hata hawezi mobilize watu 10 kwa mkutano, ni kweli. But that young person is mobilizing 1 million people on Twitter. That young person is mobilizing 200,000 people to watch a video on TikTok. They are psyche, and that's what's happening in Tanzania. Suluhu alikuwa na expect ati kuna mtu atakuja ite mkutano kama baba venye alikuwa naita watu kamukunji. Shock on her. Young people come and do a TikTok video. It has 200,000 views. Then munasema hizo ni likes za TikTok. Those 200,000 people find themselves on the streets. Then you start saying, walipewa pesa na Gachagua usiku wafanye maandamano.
All right, 60 seconds only.
I think I need to do a rebuttal on what is
60 seconds.
What my wakili is saying is that you know, I had given him a free lessons in terms of statistics and growth since, and he is now imagining that between 2022 and 2025 is even not even zeroing in on the people who have left us already. You know, as you add others exit naturally. That is what happens. So he is imagining that there will be a ballooning of some sort of vote that will majestically, as if they don't, because these are our children. I have children who will be registering as voters, and at the end of the day, as a parent, I'll talk to them on what we need to do. So this white smoke they are trying to build, and
you guarantee they'll listen to you.
Of course, of course. So I like their reasoning, but also. Wakil is also speaking from both sides of his mouth. While his party leader is actually claiming that he brought a chunk of his region around 40%, 6.8 for that matter. Now he also wants to run away that it won't be about regions. So we also need to tell us this region you have been talking about 6.8 and the one you are saying there will be no regions. Which one do you stand for?
Thank you so much. Yeah. David Kiplagat, MP Soy, and Fanyamambo Kinodia, who's a lawyer and political commentator. Our panelists. Big headlines, big discussions. Thank you so much for your time at TV47 this morning. Once again on the headlines, inside Kenya's growing crime networks, that's the big one on the People Daily, but just below that, Young Turks Eye 2027 generation challenges Ruto, the old guard, what we've just been talking about here right now. On the Standard, see, hear no evil. On Taifa Leo, Kenya yaangukia dhahabu. That still puts a smile on my face. Techie loses 1.1 billion shilling pay on M-Pesa apps ownership row. That's the Business Daily. And of course, the Daily Nation. Kenya strikes gold. Yeah, very exciting story. All right, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the state of the nation. My name is Freddie Ndumuli. Good morning.